Yep, we're back. This is Jeff Johnson and my homeboy.
Claude Fate here. How you guys doing?
Back to review a Tyler Perry film. Claude and I have been surprising each other by suggesting to each other films that he couldn't believe that I picked, and then he says, I can't believe you picked. And this falls under those categories. But you know how we do. We love film. And me and Claude, we always talk about film, always. And so we're going to share with you all of our conversations about film, even the unlikely. And so we talked about this one enough that we said, well, then we got to talk about it on camera. Mm-hmm. And so the film, of course, is Nobody's Fool. Came out in 2018. I only came to discover it as it moved into rotation on the cable networks and the streaming services. And I can't explain to you why I tried to see it. I can. Because I was listening to some other bloggers, movie review bloggers, and I wanted to hear what they had to say about it. And I wanted to have my own opinion while I was listening to their review of it. That was one reason. Another is I find Tiffany Haddish, who is one of the co-stars in this. I find her interesting. I think she's talented, maybe more talented than she's shown us yet. And I really like Tika Sumpter, and I think it's about the same thing for Tika Sumpter. I consider Tika Sumpter, really attractive. She seems to have some really powerful acting in her that we've seen snippets of, but you haven't seen her in a great film yet. And I didn't expect this to be a great film, but I figured the two of them together, let's see what happens, and I could get my own opinion. And then I watched the trailer for it, and this is something that Claude and I have talked about for a very long time that we have a pet peeve about. Some trailers can just be terrible, right? Some trailers are bad, like they're not any good, they're not entertaining. And other trailers are misleading. And Claude and I both, we love trailers, right? We like to go to the theater, and to me, I want to get there early because I want to see what's coming. Not only because I'm excited and love films, but also I want to see a good trailer. I want it to really be engaging and enjoy in the movie, while at the same time, no spoilers, don't give away too much. I mean, the whole art of trailers to me is an amazing thing. And this is a fine example of a not fine trailer. The trailer for this movie totally missed the mark. It wasn't even close to being the same to what it is we watched. And maybe Claude, I'll let you, I'll tee that up to you if you want to say anything about that as you go into what you want to say about the film.
Oh, okay, yeah. You know what? I saw the trailer after you were talking about the movie a couple of times. It wasn't we were talking, you were talking, I was listening.
Okay,
and,
that's fair.
but the last thing when you were talking and you were talking, you brought up the point about the trailer and then how this was going to be Tyler Perry's first movie after leaving Lionsgate. So you got me to do something I did not think that I would do, which was to see a second Tyler Perry movie. I'm not a film snob or anything like that, but just whenever I've seen trailers for his movies, I'll be honest, I will not be the best judge of them because I honestly haven't seen too many of them, because at times I've seen the trailers, I've been like, but
you've only seen one. I'll help you out. Most of his trailers were spot on and honest. You saw the trailer, you said, I don't want to have anything to do with this movie, and you didn't see the movie, and you were probably right. You didn't want to have anything to do with this movie.
Yeah.
This trailer, I was just like, it totally missed the mark. It's an example, since, we review movies and we critique movies, and we haven't even gotten to the film yet, it's fair to critique that it did not represent what it is we're going to watch. Even the poster was trying to show Tiffany Haddish is going to be wild and crazy, and Tika Sumpter is going to be the straight-laced, serious person, the movie. And that was going to be the movie. And, okay, there were plenty of, hope it's low budget because it's never going to make that much money type films with plots like that. Vehicles for the comedian, right? Mm-hmm. And the comedian would be the center of the story. right? It'd be all about the crazy shenanigans and antics of the comedian, and the other person would be the straight person. Now, just a tip for future directors: usually, you have to have very talented comedic straight person. A straight person is a very important role, and if you have a comedian play that straight person, it can even pay off much better. I mean, because the comedians, I mean, they bounce off each other better. They know exactly how to be deadpan and be the butt of the joke and to set up the joke for the comedian. And the comedian just acts wild and crazy. Many times when you have a situation like that, your straight person has to also be a comic. They don't have to be, but some of the best ones are where the person who's playing it straight is a comic. Eddie Murphy plays an excellent straight person. Often, straight person against himself. He'll be in disguise, and he'll be both the crazy comic, and he'll also be the straight person. He plays a straight person all the time.
Yeah.
And well. But anyway, so this seemed like it was just going to be kind of basic, generic comedy, but even that seemed different because it wasn't a ma dear, which would have just been an immediate, not for me film.
That's a big word. What's a ma dear?
Yeah, because every movie where Tyler Perry dresses up as
the
ma dear character.
Okay.
and ma dear goes to Christmas, ma dear for president.
Okay.
Did I say her name wrong?
No, I thought you said Mardir because I was wondering if it was a term that I didn't know about.
Oh no, I wasn't trying to get fancy.
I told you I started reading Dune last time, so I was like, Mardir, is that close to Mardir?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it's not the 18th name of the Dune character.
Okay.
Yeah, it just sounds similar to it. And I wasn't getting extra artsy on you. The opposite of artsy. I'm describing a Tyler Perry's lead and most bankrollable character, where he dresses up in drag. And hit somebody.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't that. And and I've seen some of his films that are ma dear free. And I've seen a couple of them where he actually acts in them, and they weren't that bad to me. I don't remember which one it was. Like Why Did I Get Married? The one with Janet Jackson in it. I thought was okay. It hit a certain mark. It was a certain kind of film. But somehow I sniffed out that this one was not what the trailer is because, again, I love film. I'm a trailer aficionado. I mean, I watch a trailer and I can look at it and say, oh, they've given us the best parts of this film in this trailer. It ain't going to get no better. I can tell when I watch certain trailers, right?
Yeah.
Some trailers.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. Finish.
Go ahead. Some trailers, you can sniff them out, right? Some trailers, when they tell you the whole story, they show the very best action scene. You're like, yeah. That was about it. There's not anything more in this film. This one, I just sniffed out. There's something not right about this. This doesn't even seem fit. And I didn't know it was a Tyler Perry film. That's the thing. It didn't say Tyler Perry production. They were literally, I think, for this film, trying to make this different. But they made it different in a lot of ways that didn't fit. Starting with the trailer. Right off the bat, stuff wasn't usual and quote unquote right. Okay.
You know what? I would say that about the trailer, and I would say that about the movie. I think the trailer is a reflection of the movie. And I mean, going back to the trailer, because like you said, there are two types of trailers, there are two types of trailers that sort of get on my nerves. No one that gives away too much of the story, and one that don't capture the essence of what the story is about. And this is a perfect, and you in terms of this trailer, because what they set up, it seemed like it was going to be one of those two people comedy deals, one straight person, one funny person. There seemed to be elements of a road trip, a bunch of trying to figure out who this was.
Right.
And I don't feel, just in terms of this trailer sort of betrays, because it feels like it was a bait. It was a bait and switch.
Right.
However, the elements that they sort of, introduced, definitely sort of like threw off the. First of all, it wasn't that kind of movie. They had a couple of those elements in there, and are we ready to talk about the movie now?
Yes, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, the movie honestly seems like they knew they wanted to make a romantic comedy, and that they took a couple of different hybrids and structures and they tried to fuse them together somehow.
Correct.
Now, the stuff that the trailer sort of promised took about, was basically just ended up being part of the setup. And the setup was basically, you were talking about like 58 minutes, for, to deal with the what's happening in terms of the catfishing thing. Then the next 4 to 6 minutes is them going and finding out what happened. And then basically, honestly, the movie felt like it was basically, most of it was over at that time. And I was literally surprised when I clicked on the counter. I'm like, we got another hour? What the? So the beginning starts off like elements of like disconnected elements of like a Todd Phillips hangover road trip type of a movie, and then the last part is a romantic melodrama, and it doesn't seem like it seemed like it's two movies they're trying to fit into one, and that and I think the trailer was sort of doing what it was supposed to try to get people in there, but It did not really. I think they couldn't come up with the theme because I'm sure the trailer people will probably look at the footage. They say, "What the hell's going on here?"
All right, it didn't fit.
That's just me. I don't know.
It didn't fit. Step one, shh, not a Tyler Perry movie, right? Mm-hmm. Step one, trick number one, because I had no idea. I didn't.
Yeah.
Right. I was trying to watch this movie so then I could listen to the reviewers who I like, and then I could relate to what they were talking about. And I like Tika enough, and I want to see Tiffany be more funny one day, right? So that was it. And then the first thing comes up is Tyler Perry with like a different logo. I was like, is that a different logo? Are you trying to get sophisticated? Mm-hmm. Look at the little T's coming together, even though there's only one T in your name and there's two T's. Hey, I didn't come up with the logo.
Yeah,
I got a website that shows up, unfortunately, on the screen. Send me, I didn't come up with your logo. Two T's. Your choice, right?
I'm sorry, frozen. You're frozen. Okay.
Yeah, he got a new logo. I'm like, okay, you trying something new logo. First thing you tried new is you didn't say it was a Tyler Perry movie. That's step one. You hid, you suppressed yourself, you tricked the bruh by not saying that anywhere. I mean, unless I just wasn't paying attention, it just was not clear until these fancy two T's come together. And then I hadn't even done the research. But I'm like, this is different. Is this new company? Is he on his own? Answer, yes. I find out later, right? Mm-hmm. Like, okay, you guys on studio. Come on, man, come with it. What you gonna do? Something new? Because the trailer don't sound new. It sounds like standard, wild girl, straight person. But let's see what you're gonna do.
Yeah.
And then you watch it, and it's like, okay, I told you this before, and so I'm not gonna take it back. I thought Haddish was funnier as the wild girl here than she was in Girl Trip, but it was exactly the same. It was just I'm wild home girl, and here's why I thought it was funnier, just a smidge. And I'm not like saying like 100% funnier or some huge measurable difference, but if you say tie, worse, or better, I'd have to say better, even if it's just a little bit better. And the one reason I liked the most, I told you about it, is that, again, here I'm doing a generic review and not the film. We can tear the film up, and that's fine. But right now, I'm generically saying that the trailer sucked, and the trailers were mismatched, and I'm generically saying it's a mismatch, like he's trying something new and didn't even say it was his. So maybe this is his chance now to show us something new and different and better, right? So I'll wait for that. Then Tiffany comes out, and she's the over-the-top, super wild homegirl, and I thought it was funnier than Girl Trip. I thought it was better performance. But even though it's the exact same performance, totally wild, over the top homegirl, I just liked it better. But what do I say about that? Lost my thought. It was just a smidge better, in my opinion, and as a crazy homegirl. And so I'll just have to come back to it. And I thought Whoopi Goldberg being in there, I thought Whoopi was funny in ways that I haven't laughed at Whoopi in a long time. Hers was, the toned down, not totally wild over the top. She's the always high mom and running almost overused punchline is that mom is totally mellow and always high, but every once in a while she'll drop a pearl of wisdom. I was digging that. But then when you get the film, you're right. It just has elements of that it wasn't what you asked for, and then it suddenly becomes an actual rom-com. I'm like, oh snap! You intend for this to be a romantic comedy, and Tika Sumpter is the center. Where'd that come from? It didn't come from the poster. It didn't come from the first few moments. Oh, I know what I wanted to say. What I thought was honest about it is I don't like all this dancing around PG-13 and rated R business. I don't like it. I don't like it. If you're constraining yourself by PG-13, be a better writer and better comedian, and have punching jokes in an environment where you're not allowed to curse. Saturday Night Live does it every Saturday. Lots of people do it. Constraints, in my experience of watching films, constraints tend to allow the comedians to blossom because the director has to force them. Hey, can't do that. So they got to be clever. They got to sneak around. They got to almost say the thing. They got to kind of do it and then grin at the camera, and then everyone laughs because they're saying something dirty, but they can't say it's dirty, right? That's fine. But lately, I don't know, Claude. It's just like, this PG-13 stuff. They're just doing stuff that's creepy, dancing around the edge of whether I can curse or not curse, and then they end up doing it anyway, or cursing just enough, being dirty just enough. Just be full on rated R, and then just go ahead and give us rated R humor. Is it adult film? Is it just for grown-ups? Then give us grown-up jokes. Rated R film, grown-up jokes. PG-13 film, be funny, but playable in front of, 13-year-old children. Be able to actually play it in the house while we're stuck in the house streaming video and let the kids watch. But I don't like all this dancing around. This was more honest from my perspective. That I've heard other reviewers say it was too raunchy and too over the top. I was just like, well, I felt some of the films that were supposed to be raunchy were just dancing around raunchiness. Getting inappropriate. It's like, I can watch raunchy and I can watch appropriate. What I don't like is I'm trying to watch something appropriate and you're playing around. Like the one with the young lady from Blackish. She executive produced it. She filmed it where a grown woman becomes a small child. Right?
Yeah.
Now, she's a grown woman who's very nasty and mean in a small child's body. And some of that was funny and some of that was uncomfortable. Some of that was uncomfortable to me. I was like, how much do I want to hear her say? And will I laugh at it?
Okay.
How raunchy do I know she's actually, whatever she is, actually 12, 14. Even if she's 16. How much do I actually want to hear her say? And then laugh along with it, versus just have a bunch of adults and tell dirty jokes and use curse words because it's a dirty joke curse word movie. So that's the point I wanted to make, that I liked it a smidge better, not a lot, but a smidge. You were shaking your head. You disagree.
Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, you're right. You read my mind because I was, yeah, no, in terms of the, you made the comparison. I guess the thing was that and it's not an argument as to which one's better, because I thought, to me, just looking at her performance in Girls Trip, the wild character that she portrays, was definitely just it was a big star making moment for her, and it was definitely more memorable. And I think that she brought her character was just a little more proactive in terms of doing that thing. She's definitely that friend where if you were down in the dumps, that's the person you want on your side. And I was laughing so hard, and it may have been just because of the first time I saw her. So I wasn't necessarily trying to sort of do a comparison, but the thing I wanted to keep in mind is, was there anything in this movie where I felt like, that there were any nuances to her performance that was different or stood out? And I just honestly, I prefer her performance in Girls Trip, partially because of the newness and the fact that her character was a little more proactive.
Sure, that's fair.
To me, it was like, in the sense I get from this movie, and I don't know anything. I don't work at Tyler Perry Studios, so please don't quote me on nothing. But it honestly seemed to me that they knew they wanted to make a romantic comedy, and that maybe after one or two rewrites, somebody said, look, you can have Tiffany Haddish in your movie. And it was like, okay, let's find a way to put her in here. And she sort of, and to a certain degree, that's sort of how it felt, because she was, in the beginning, she was more of a presence, and she seemed a little more sort of like a caricature of her comedy routine, as opposed to being
an actual
three-dimensional character.
Yeah.
And she did what she was supposed to do, and I think I think that's probably explained why they did the trailer the way they did it. But I felt that I didn't notice any difference in terms of how nuanced are, but the way that her character was written, the character in Road Trip was the one that seemed more like a real friend to the girls, and it was a little bit of an ensemble piece where she shined, and it was a big thing for her, and it was memorable. I mean, I still remember scenes that she was in, whereas over here, I can't really say that there was anything that particularly stood out. There was potential for things, I was thinking her character's story in terms of her getting out of jail, being rough around the edges, contrasting to her younger sister, being protective. And I was thinking, okay, what would be some of the things that Eddie Murphy would have done if he was that person,
Yeah.
We're not actors, but if we were the straight person and straight in terms of not funny person.
Correct.
I would have, it was just, he would have been doing things, She came out of prison.
You froze up for a second. She came out of prison.
We both sort of have this little spirit.
You froze up for a second. You froze up for a second. Say that again about she came out of prison.
Yeah, when she came out of prison, you sort of wanted to see her become, like she would bring certain skills, especially if she suspected that her cousin was being catfished. Now, this is unfair. We got to deal with the movie that we have, because both of us have the spirit in us. Let's write a better movie. When we're looking at something that this could have been better, So I got to put that away. I got to put it away. But yeah, it was like she called on the catfish people to do the work for her.
That's a good point. She didn't do it herself.
As opposed to her doing the stuff herself, or getting the
using her skills,
colleague to do it. Yeah, I mean, the whole thing about her knowing how to use a fancy coffee machine.
That's in jail.
Are you serious?
She knew how to make a coffee machine, but she couldn't.
Any jail documentary you see, they tell you that coffee sucks. It's dark water.
She learned how.
But she knew how to use
a finger. She learned how to finger a cappuccino machine in prison, but she didn't learn any skills that could tell us about herself while she's trying to track down the catfisher of her sister.
Yeah,
that's a story, and that's not what we got.
Not at all. I mean, if you had basically had some, and again, it's unfair. I'm not going to, necessarily say this, but if there was something that indicated she had any type of mechanical skills or something, she was good with machines or something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm thinking that even in jail, they used to use jails where they have people had computer access to stuff, so it would have been like, yeah, she could have looked up this guy's. There are millions.
She made license plates, so she knew how to track down people by their license plate number. Something.
Yeah, I mean, and so it was just, yeah. I mean, I'm sorry. I keep going back to like the trailer, because if they had done the trailer where it was like, let's find out who this dude is, and it was a combination of a road trip or just or a slapstick element of comedy, like
Of her trying to investigate but keeping a secret from her sister,
or Bridesmaid, or Hangover, or some of these other ones. They included like a road trip or wedding crashers, or some of that element. I wanted to see that movie. If you're gonna do romantic comedy with elements of a melodrama, then there's certain things that you should not realize that there's something wrong with the girl. Like an hour into the movie, you got the beginning now. It was like it went from dun 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 to okay, she can't trust anybody now because she got catfish. And this is usually the beginning of the movies, where somebody either gets dumped at the beginning, or they're alone in the beginning for some reason, and they eventually get to the point where they learn to love somebody.
Right.
And so they had 1 hour. And so a little bit of change. Actually, just 1 hour.
The 1 hour, a little bit of change for her to be profane.
Yeah.
And then drop that. Yeah. It was to me. It's like, look, if you trying to have a brand new logo, Tyler Perry, and break away from your benefactors and cast a Tika Sumpter in a romantic comedy, have the courage to do a romantic comedy. Mm-hmm. You had Omari Hardwick cast as the romantic lead against Tika. Mm-hmm. I'm waiting to see another breakout performance for Tika Sumpter. I liked her in South Side with You. Again, it was simple, quiet, sweet, small, not a whole lot not a whole lot of ground to cover.
Oh, okay. She was in that movie? Okay, yes. Okay.
She plays Michelle Robinson.
Okay, yeah.
And it's nice. So it was nice enough for me to say, now I'm waiting for the next thing, right? Mm-hmm. And in other films, she's played, the sexy young woman, and so this movie opens up with that, right? Like, sexy young woman, just to get us started. But we're still but it'll still be a comedy. But then it's not a comedy. It's a rom-com, and the only com about the rom-com is the first 1 hour of vulgar jokes we got. That's the only com part of rom-com, because it's not. It's a romance.
Yeah.
And romance and drama, right? Of her not because I got catfished in that funny beginning part of the movie. Now I can't have a good relationship with this guy who I should have gotten with the first place, because he's super perfect. He's perfect in every way except he's not perfect about this list. They should have called it The List.
Well, that was another thing. That the whole idea of the list, if it was a matter of she was given that opportunity to work on this, and the list got her to look through her life to figure out,
why is it that you think you have to have this perfect person?
That could have, usually a list or anything that involves reading would be The Kiss of Death, for a hit movie. But that actually would have been, that could have been funny.
Right. Yeah, it would, right, like you said, it would have been a hit movie, but it would have been a good drama, because then we talk about, I've always wanted these things in the person, and this guy doesn't have any of them. He's got kids, he's a criminal, he's a drug user.
It could be in a comedy, just, it'd be a hard sell.
Yes.
But it could be. The whole idea that the image of what you need in your life, as opposed to reality, can be very, we start a bunch of movies where everybody seems to have everything together in the beginning.
But instead, we get none of that.
Indications.
Yeah, instead we get none of that. We have no idea how she ascended to almost being a partner in this firm. All we get is that she was dumped by a guy who she was about to get married to. That's all we get.
Mm-hmm.
We have no idea how she has a rah-rah mama sister who she's still very close to and relates to and acknowledges the separation. She plays the straight person off of her when it's her job to be a straight person. Again, I told you comedians are better at it. Tika did a fine job, but it's not necessarily realistic, right? She just keeps acting wild, and I just keep not saying anything about it. There's no background. There's no explanation to why you accept her this way. Why you let her act totally wild and you're completely accepting of it. There's no explanation of how you were so straight-laced and then heartbroken when you got pothead mama and rah-rah mama sister, where do you fit in this triangle of the only 3 women that we're given? Is this a story about 3 different kinds of women, right? Even that would be a story. 3 different kinds of women making it in the world who have a bond together. But of course, we don't explore how that bond ever came together, how these 3, mama, rah-rah mama, daughter, and straight-laced about to be a partner, how did that ever fit together? We don't cover that.
Yeah.
Back to my being a good straight man piece. The piece that is memorable from this film is Tiffany Haddish and Whoopi Goldberg in the window. And Whoopi Goldberg is like, we got a bad connection. I can't hear you. I can't hear you. You got a bad connection. Haddish is strong enough that that's where she has to switch gears, and she has to be the straight person. And watch Whoopi, you know, it was probably vamping. She probably totally made that whole scene up of how, no, you can't come live with me. I can't hear you. I can't hear you. We have a bad connection. She's like, Mama, you're talking through the window. That's not how that works. Right? A comedian can shift gears and become the straight person and take those jokes. And let the other person play off of them really well. Maybe the whole movie should have been about those 2.
I mean, you know, and and I could sort of see the appeal in terms of what they were doing, because I think that, you know, it was like they took some tropes or some spear piece from other movies, and they said, okay, and then they finally had a pass where they said, I think we can cover all this.
Correct.
And it's not, you know, it
correct. And then we'll make it
on paper at pitch meetings, it seemed like this is something that could possibly work, but you know, it didn't, because, you know, we don't realize the character has a problem until an hour and 2 minutes into it. Okay.
Right.
And
then
as
a change.
And then the characters are not really, you know,
And as a change, I mean, I haven't seen his full filmography, but I'm thinking that of the dramas, he's had dramas, but I don't think he's had, you know, a romantic comedy drama, or at least a romantic drama like this. Not like this. Not, you know, it's like we went from this wild, profane joke comedy piece to trying to be Love Jones, right? And I mean, a hard shift of gears. It's like, no, if you want to do Love Jones, just, you know, come with it, right? Come with it. You know, you want to change the pace. You want people to look at you differently, which is why you did not put Tyler Perry Presents, or, you know, or have My Dear jump out the closet and beat on somebody. Then go ahead and do that. Do full in, right? Have someone actually write a drama for you and just direct it. You know, you had the cast who could pull it off. You know, I thought Hardwick's performances were outstanding, because, again, he had to just basically play off of everybody. He had to play off of a completely over-the-top comedian and be a straight person, right? But yet, you know, keep it dignified and keep it aligned with the character, even though she's just ridiculously over the top. And I thought he did an excellent job. Again, even though I just said I think comedians can do it better, here's a guy who's not a comedian who did an excellent job of being a straight man against Haddish, I thought. But then he has to do a hard shift, like, oh, this is a real drama where you just keep playing me like dirt, and I'm supposed to be a real 3-dimensional character, accepting the way you play me in dirt, even though my circumstances are so extreme. Extremes like, get out of my apartment, now I'm going to talk about you, I'm going to come back in the room, you haven't left yet. Okay, that works once, but then later in the movie, she walks into our apartment still talking bad about him, and he was in the apartment because he came back to pick up a few extra things.
Yeah, and then it was he was, you know, like you said, it was, you know, he showed range in terms of just playing off of, you know, someone who brought a lot of crazy energy to the beginning of the story, and at the same time being dignified and somewhat vulnerable when the melodrama part sort of, you know, I kicked in. And
then, but Claude, but then at the very end, they're like, well, we really blew it with this film. We're all over the place. A trailer was misleading and not precise. And then Tiffany Haddish was not even close to as funny for Claude as she was, nor as memorable as she was in Girl Trip. So we blew it on that. And then out of nowhere, we decide we want to become a romantic, drama film, and we don't do it that well. What could we possibly do to win over Claude? Give me a minute. What could we do? What scene could we put in this film that would possibly make Claude happy?
Well, the scene
holding a funk box up in the air and begging?
Well, you know what? They actually, her crashing the wedding, I would have definitely, if there had been a bunch of relationships and they went and crashed all their weddings or whatever.
That would have been good. You like that part?
I mean, not that I thought wedding crashes were great, but I mean, at least they delivered something that was like, okay, this is sort of like what the trailer was promising.
Exactly.
Going to these people, having their comeuppance. But it's yeah.
It's like we got a few more seconds left we can put on this, and we promised them Haddish would be funny. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was, I keep thinking, again, it was this, what kind of movie sort of dealt with not exactly this type of thing, but where they sort of had to do something. And one thing that came into mind a little bit was something like High Fidelity, where in the movie, John Cusack had to look at his past relationship. You have, a crazy comedic dynamo character who doesn't necessarily push his character. He's just sort of at the record store. But they actually do a real good job of recreating it. If you ever see the TV series by Zoe Kravitz, they do a very good, reinterpretation of the story. And the actress that was in, Dolomite Is My Name, she does the Jack Black character, and she completely fucking rocks it. I mean,
You missed that.
If you had, it's, I like the show. The show had, a couple of, couple of things, but overall, I enjoyed the hell out of the show. And when she came in, and I was like, who was going to be the Jack Black character? Man, did they pick the right one? I forgot the young lady's name. I need to remember her name, but she completely commanded it. I was like, Jack who? As soon as I saw her coming in, and she walked into the record store doing her thing. And so I said, there's a way, people have done this type of stuff. And I would honestly say that the movie stuff, because I repeated a bunch of times, it needed a rewrite, and it needed to know what exactly the hero was supposed to do. And yeah, so but I mean, if they tried to do the if they tried to do the trailer, I would have been down to seeing that too. If it was about all these guys playing her on the internet, and it was all, giving them their comeuppance, oh hell yeah, I would. But that trailer was 6 minutes of this damn movie. It was.
Yes, it was. And the closer, and the wedding crash.
Yeah, and then the little wedding crasher moment, which would have, that could have been, that could have been funny, but it.
So the good thing is that that neither of us were fooled by this trailer and put down hard-earned money to go see it. You were only tricked into seeing it because I talked you into it, because I just couldn't believe.
Yeah, you put, what you said, I was like, wow, you were full of energy about this, and then you mentioned the whole thing about Tyler Perry leaving Lionsgate, and I was like, oh wow, okay, let me cape for this dude. Let me see, It was like, yeah, this is a break for freedom. Yes, I mean, not that he needs a break from freedom. The guy owns he owns the biggest studio facility with 10 different studios named after great filmmakers, whether they liked him or not. And so he doesn't, in terms of his business acumen, I'm not going to question it, but it is interesting that they did not mention this was a Tyler Perry film, because that would have brought in a lot more people.
Hey, here we go. It should have been called Catfish, even though it wasn't a catfish movie. Mm-hmm. And we got catfished. Okay, well, it doesn't get better than that. That works. So that's it for this exciting episode. This is Claude Faithier. All right, and this is my man, Jeff Johnson. And we'll see you next time. Yes. See you later. Thank you, everybody.